If you're looking for the most effective schemes for the Madden 21 season, make sure to head over to acemadden.com. Our Pro and Elite memberships offer you access to over 10 ebooks that our pro players from TNC are going to be releasing over the next 12 months. And if you want to become a member, make sure to use code ACE for 10% off at checkout. What's up, guys? It's your boy Ace, and today we're going to be talking about how to read a defense. So this is going to be a very important topic if you're new to the game. If you consider yourself intermediate, I think you can probably pick a few things up from this. But this is going to be geared towards people who are new to the game, new to football. And this is going to be a really helpful video when it comes to reading pre-snap and post-snap. So I'm going to try to keep this video simple. We're going to start it off by coming out in a trip set so we can illustrate something for you. And we'll start with Tampa 2, which is basically just cover 2 zone. And real quick, why is it called cover 2? It's because there's two deep zones. You see those two blue zones at the top of the play art? Those are basically just deep halves, and that means cover 2. That signifies cover 2. Okay, so let's go to Tampa 2. And the first thing we're going to look at pre-snap is look at how the defense is aligned. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our trip side. Trips to the left, we have 3 receivers. Well, typically speaking, if it's man coverage, they're going to match our trips with 3 cornerbacks. So if you look, let's go ahead and switch to man coverage so we can illustrate this. You see how that guy comes on over, and now they have matched our trips. And that tells us it is likely man coverage. Now, there are exceptions. We'll talk about those soon. But generally speaking, if they're aligned like this, you're in a trip set, and they do not have a cornerback over your inside slot receiver, that means it is likely zone coverage. So that's helpful information. After that, the next thing we're going to look at is what kind of defensive front are they in? Are they able to stop an inside zone? Are they set up for pressure? Or are they only going to send 4 at us? So right here, if I see a look like this, it basically tells me they're not sending a blitz. They're trying to shed me to death. They're going to send 3 or 4 at me, which means I probably have time. Now, I don't take that information and go with it without reading the defense post-snap, but it does help me. It tells me, I'm probably going to have more time than if he sends 6 at me. So those are the 2 main things I look at pre-snap. Now let's talk about post-snap. So when it comes to post-snap, actually one thing I do want to talk about real quick before moving into post-snap is you can play zone coverage, but with a man aligned. So if you hit wire triangle and then you hit RB or R1, well, it didn't do it there for some reason. I don't know why. Let me go ahead and snap the ball real quick and redo that. So what's going to happen is man align will disguise a zone coverage as man. That guy, yeah, it's getting messed up for some reason. I don't know why. But this cornerback is supposed to go to this side of the field. And it'll make it look like man coverage. So it should look like this. And you'll see that if you look to the trip side, they now have 3 cornerbacks matching our 3 wide receivers. And pre-snap, you might be like, oh, it could be man coverage. Well, then once you snap the ball, you're going to see, oh, it's zone. And just confusing your opponent like that, can give you a good chance at getting a pick. So it's maybe 3rd and 10. You've been giving them the same look, and you just want to mix things up a little bit. That's a good thing to do. Do a little bit of man align. So I just wanted to throw that out there, let you guys know that you can disguise a zone as man coverage pre-snap. Okay, so let's talk about post-snap reads. The first thing you're always going to do after snapping the ball, this is what real-life quarterbacks do. They read the safeties. So what's going to happen? I'm going to snap it. I'm not going to throw the ball. Pay attention to the safeties. One thing I recommend doing for all of you who are new to the game or struggling with reading a defense is get familiar with how each safety reacts in each play call. So in this case, we know we're in cover 2. So get familiar with how these safeties drop. So if you look, both of these safeties, right after I snap the ball, are going to start dropping back. that immediately tells me it's probably cover 2. Snap, look at them, they're dropping. So with that information, I know it's cover 2. Now, if I don't look at anything else, I'm not sure if it's cover 2 man or cover 2 zone. But I do know it's cover 2. So get familiar with how these safeties drop. You'll notice not all the time versus trips, because this guy will actually stay closer to the center of the field because there's no outside receiver on the right. So what he's going to do is he's going to squeeze towards the middle. And he kind of looks more like a quarter. He looks more like an inside quarter dropping. So you do have to realize that, in a trip set, that this guy will squeeze. But this guy, will play more of a deep half. See how he really goes to the deep half of the field, more like the play art shows? So if I see both of these guys, I pretty much know that it's cover 2. After that, you can look at all your other reads. So once you get familiar with how these safeties look dropping, it's going to take you like a third of a second to process that. And then once you process that, you can get to your reads. So let's go ahead and put something out on the field. Actually, I don't like that route concept. Let me do something else. So right here, read the safeties. You see, okay, it's cover 2, and I'm going to get it to my check down. That's one of the weaknesses of a cover 2. So obviously I have the benefit of knowing what play call it is as I'm playing against myself, but that's how you're going to read the defense. So you do have to know the weaknesses of a cover 2, of course. That kind of information comes from different videos. This is more about just realizing what you're looking at. So to recap on cover 2, what you're going to do is, first of all, pre-snap. This is for every single pre-snap. Check the alignment of your receivers. See if they're matching. See if it looks like man coverage. One more time, this is what man coverage will look like. They will have a guy playing over your inside slot receiver. And you can tell from other formations too. I can go to a non-trip set just to illustrate this. And then after that, you look at, are they blitzing me or are they trying to shed me? So shed just means, are they sending 3 or 4 and just playing pretty much max coverage? Or they're playing like a stock coverage? Those are the things you're going to look at pre-snap. And then post-snap, of course, look at the safeties. He's wide open because I was using the guy that was manned up on him. But you just need to get familiar with these safeties. I know I've already said it, but go into practice mode and just snap the ball and watch the safeties. You need to do that because you have to get familiar with what it looks like. That is the most important thing you can do, because that is going to be the first thing you should do post-snap every time versus any defense. Now, there will be some exceptions. We'll talk about an exception in a second. First, I want to get into cover 3 and cover 1. But it's going to be kind of the same story with both of those. So one thing you're going to notice, we'll go to trips again, and then we'll go to cover 3 and cover 1. Let's go ahead and put a cover 1 in here. We'll get into a complicated shell in a second. Or a more advanced shell, I should say. Okay, so right here, this is cover 1. Remember, pre-snap, we're going to read the alignment. I see this. I think it's probably man coverage. Probably. After I do that, I'm going to see who's blitzing. It looks like they're just playing shed D. After that, I'm going to read the safeties. It's one thing you're going to notice. This one's a pretty easy tell. You're going to see what happens is that one safety drops down and one drops high. This will always be easy to read because one safety is going to be rolling down, one's going to be going to the middle of the field. That's going to be for both cover 3 and cover 1. So anytime you see this action from your safety, one thing I need to mention that I didn't mention in the cover 2 section was when you see a safety dropping to the middle of the field like this, I want you to think about it like this. Who's defending the other deep parts of the field? Who does it have to be? It has to be the outside cornerbacks. Has to be. Just think about it. It has to be the outside cornerbacks, because if it's not them, there's going to be a really big hole in this section of the field. That's how when you read the safeties, you can assume based on what the safeties are doing. Because what the safeties are doing basically tells you what the rest of the defense is doing. So that's why we do read the safeties. I should have touched on that in the previous section, but that is important to know. So one more time, I'm just going to snap the ball. You're going to see one safety drops down, one goes high. That is a very easy tell that it's cover 3 or cover 1. Just remember that. So looking at it pre-snap, I can pretty much tell that it's a cover 2 man or a cover 1. I can't tell exactly because both of these safeties are high. So you're going to see they're disguising their shell pretty well pre-snap. One thing you'll see sometimes is they'll maybe bring this guy down and user him. And that tells me, okay, it's probably cover 1 because they're going to leave this guy either in a deep half or they're going to put him in his traditional middle third. So if he's in a deep half here, yeah, I still consider that cover 1, even though it's a deep half. It's just one deep zone. So usually if you see something like this, it's going to be a cover 1. So keep that in mind. All right, so what next? Let's talk about cover 3. So it's going to be a little bit different. Notice how the cornerback goes back to the other side of the field. That tells me likely zone coverage. After that, obviously look at the box and see, are they blitzing? After you do that, you're going to snap, and you're going to read the safeties. Look how one safety drops, one goes high. So this time it was different. The safety going high was from the other side of the field, and that can totally happen. But all you need to get familiar with is what it looks like when the safety is rolling. So in this case, it was this safety that was the middle third. And you're going to notice he rolls to the middle of the field. When you see that action, you know it's cover 3 or cover 1. In this case, pre-snap, it was pretty obvious to me that it was a zone coverage. So that kind of eliminates cover 1 for me. But as you can see, he rolls, and then this safety immediately rolls down into the flats. So that's how you can tell that it's either cover 1 or cover 3. Any questions, let me know in the comment section. I'm trying to cover this as best as I can. I know this is something that is going to be complicated for some people, even though I'm trying my best to explain it. So just let me know in the comment sections. I try to respond to every single comment. So that's going to be it for cover 1 and cover 3. And let's talk about some special exceptions. Okay, so a special exception we're going to talk about is cover 4 palms. And this one's really hard to read if you don't know, if you're not familiar with match coverages and things like that. If you're not familiar with those things, even for me, post-snap, it'll make my brain process a little bit longer just because it's not super obvious what's going on. So let me go ahead and just snap the ball and show you. You're going to notice the safeties are a bit weird. The safeties aren't really dropping. They're kind of just manning up in a way. So if you look at the safeties, it's gonna look like one's in zone, like one's dropping. Like just watch him. He's like flat-footed. He's like dropping like an inside quarter, and then he matches and mans up to this guy. One thing. So here's the deal with this. When you see the safeties acting in weird behaviors like this, I basically just assume that it's cover 4 quarters or palms. Like that's me personally. That's your own decision. But when I see them kind of acting weird, that's when I assume it's a cover 4 quarters or palms. If it's a cover 4 drop, all they're going to do is drop straight back. Like literally both of them will drop straight back. I can show you the difference between that right now. Cover 4, and then we'll do palms. So this should drop straight back now. Okay, so let's go ahead and snap the ball. And if you look at both of them, you're going to see that they just drop straight back. By the way, for those of you who didn't know what I just did, I've turned on zone drops. When you turn on zone drops in this game, located in your coaching adjustments, it is going to cancel all match coverages. So that's why this turned into a drop instead of a quarters match shell. So look at both of your safeties. Go ahead and go in between them. If you look, they both drop straight back into their deep inside quarters. So when you see this behavior from the safeties, it's easy to tell it's quarters because they don't get any width towards the sidelines, and they don't roll down or roll up to the middle of the field. They just kind of drop straight back. That's how you can tell it's cover 4 drop. So let's go ahead and talk about another exception. Okay, so we came out in kind of a blitz heavy look. So double A gap, this is a popular concept in real life. This really gets like offensive lines and quarterbacks a little freaked out because you have to account for those linebackers in the A gaps. And if you don't communicate well, they can easily have a free man at the quarterback. So here's the thing. We do our normal pre-snap. That doesn't really affect us too much. We look at their alignment. That tells me it's probably zone because one of the wide receivers on the trip side is not covered by a cornerback. The next step is where it gets tricky. So you're going to look at the box and you're going to see tons of guys are ready to come at the quarterback, or at least giving the illusion that they want to come at the quarterback. So at that point, my post-snap changes a little bit differently. This is me personally. You do not have to do it like this, but this is how I do it. If I know that if they have a blitz threat, what I like to do is put route concepts on the field. By the way, you can feel this out throughout the game. If they keep bluffing the blitz and they keep dropping into coverage, then I'm going to change my thought process a little bit. But when I see it look like this, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some hot reads. So maybe put something like this on the field. So here's the deal. I already know it's a full out blitz. They're sending 7. So here's what I do. I look at those guys on the line of scrimmage. When I look at them on the line of scrimmage, I can easily tell within maybe half a second, probably quicker than that they're sending a blitz, and I'm going to get it to one of my quick reads. So I have 2 quick reads on the field. Well, kind of 3. I have B, X, and RB. So when I see something like this, I'm going to get it to one of them. Snap it. And those are my quick reads. So anytime I see those guys coming quickly, I'm going to get it to one of my quick reads. Let's bring that guy in again. So get familiar with what blitzes look like. One easy tell if they're using like a double A gap is you can watch those middle linebackers right over the center, and it becomes kind of obvious if they're sending the house, because if one of those guys drops, then it's not a full out blitz. So, well, I mean, they could still send 6, like one from it being the slot corner, but if one of them drops like this, so I'll go ahead and I'll do this on defense. Go ahead and watch the middle linebackers. You see one drops. That immediately tells me that they do not have a free man at the quarterback. So that's why if I see a look like that, I like to look at the middle linebackers. Because if they do not send the slot cornerback and they drop one of those linebackers, it's 5-on-5. And we don't have to necessarily worry about getting it out quickly. But if both of them blitz, it is very likely they're sending at least 6 at your quarterback. So we'll do it again. Remember, you see a look like this. And like I said, this is me personally. You do not have to follow this unless you want to. You want to have a couple routes on the field that you can get out of the quarterback's hands quickly. And typically speaking, they need to be on the opposite sides of the field. The reason for that is there's going to be a user defender, and he can possibly take away one. So let's say he's sending the house, and he's maybe using this guy, and he's ready to jump down into the flats. So actually, we'll do this. We'll say he's using this guy. We'll leave this deep zone because it's more safe. And he's using this guy, and he's just ready to jump on anything on the right side of the field. Well, if we send 2 routes out, it's going to be hard to tell, based on how quickly the pressure gets there, which of these 2 guys on the right is going to be open. So at that point, my logic is get the ball out quickly to the opposite side of the field. So if I know this guy's using on the right, all I'm going to do is throw to the drag on the left. So after I read that it's a blitz, I try to get it to the opposite side of the field that the user is on. So there will be, really tough. If you play someone really good, they're going to make things difficult for you. So they can maybe do send 6, man him up on X, and then we can have the same route combo. And you're going to notice what happens is we have that same logic. Well, boom, throw that, and it's a pick. Good people are going to make you question certain things. So here's what you have to do. So I have one more route that's going to be open. So they send 6, man up on X, and then I'll go ahead and user this guy. Same route combo that I've been using. At that point, I'm reading. I have to make a quick read, and then here it is. Boom, there's a streak. Because I have 2 reads on the left side of the field. One of them will likely be open if they're sending 6 at you. So that's just how I think about facing defensive fronts like 1-4-6 and double A gap. If they are bluffing the blitz a lot, then I start to look at the safeties again. But whenever it's a blitz, you just don't have time to read a full coverage like that, and you just have to hit one of your hot reads. So that's basically how I read a defense. If you guys have your own preference on how you read a defense, let me know in the comment section. Any questions regarding what I covered, you can also let me know in the comment section. I will answer those questions. But that's going to be it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like if you did. I'm dropping daily Madden 21 content, so make sure you subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss a beat. I'll see you guys tomorrow.